Yo, guys, it's your boy here, Double H, half the hope. Actually, wait 1 second. Alright, that's better. Yep, it's your boy HH, half the hope, coming at you here for another lovely, beautiful movie show. Yo, what up, baby? What up, baby? So I'm going to be joined by Red. Red has just sort of taken a little bit
I'm
of
back,
the.
HH. I'm back.
But oh yeah, so Red is here. Red is here. So look, man, let me just introduce what we'll be doing in this whole thing. Actually, why the hell does that say Joaquin Phoenix, man? And break down the movie stuff. So basically, we are going to be talking about the Matrix casting, um, and we're also going to be talking about the Batman casting as well. A bit of our Reeves' Batman film, and also give our thoughts on Joker as well. There will be spoilers, of course, but we're just going to give our thoughts about the Joker, its box office, how much money it's been made, and just our general thoughts on the film as well. So obviously we'll try and be looking at what's popping up in the live chat to see what you guys are saying and see what is going up right now and everything. So let's really start off first with our thing right now. So obviously Catwoman has been cast, and Zoe Kravitz has won the role. When we saw it, so Catwoman has been cast, and Zoe Kravitz has won the role, and I think it's has given me pause for thought as to what kind of Batman film is Matt Reeves actually going to make. So before we really delve into exactly what kind of Batman film we're going to get from Matt Reeves, so I'm just bringing your boy Red. So Red, what are you really expecting from this Batman film, in your view?
Okay, so for me personally, I want. But there's two. I have two types of Batman films in my mind. You could either go with the artistic style of Tim Burton, where you have that sort of gritty, more like the set design of Batman. The way Tim Burton portrayed his, like where it's a very aesthetically pleasing movie to watch, where it's like a different universe altogether. I would like to kind of see that a bit more. Nolan movie, because I don't want to see that yet. You know what I mean? Like that's the only two paths. They can either make it uber realistic, or they could make it a little bit more into the fictional. Because Nolan's trilogy was supposed to be set in realism, so I'm hoping they sort of embrace the silliness of the comics a little bit, not make them too goofy, not go the path of Disney. When I see
Okay,
these casting,
so in your view, so you don't, because for me I think that's why it leads us to the idea of like what kind of Batman film are we going to get, because when I'm hearing that we're going to get a rogues gallery of all of these different villains and so forth, I'm thinking that this is now going to return back to the Tim Burton kind of Batman. But then I was then reading something, I think on the Hollywood Report or something, where it says, oh no, this is a much more grounded take on the Batman character. I don't know how you can have a grounded take with Penguin. I don't know how that works. Like, once you
see,
introduce Penguin, you've got to go fantastical. Penguin is not a character you can ground in reality. Hence why Nolan never did Penguin.
no, they actually like the Penguin. They could do him because like the only two major villains that Nolan or three were Poison Ivy, Penguin, and Riddler. Those are the only three he didn't touch on. Like if you look at the Nolan trilogy, you got Two Face, you got Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, you got Bane. You had a good ensemble in the Joker, of course. We forget the like he created his own little Batman universe like in realism. So you could bring in like a deformed orphan that's from the elite, that like sort of in the way that Tim Burton did it, just
Mm.
with like a more remix and like a bit more less, because in Tim Burton's movies it was a little bit goofy. Like the bad guy actually had lair and had goons. In real life you can't really get like just hired goons that dress up as penguins, and they could make it a little bit more into that aspect into it, like where it's somewhere between fiction where you're like, okay, this can't really happen in our real life, but at the same time where you're like, okay, but these scenarios, like how like the conversations they're having talking about today. Like the thing is why I want Batman to distance from them the over realistic, because they're not going to top the Nolan trilogy. The Nolan trilogy is a masterpiece, in my opinion.
Mm.
Overall, if you watch it as the whole trilogy, like everything thing that happens in one movie leads into the next, which leads into the next, but each one is its own story. One is about Batman overcoming his fears, one is questioning Batman's morals, and then one it shows Batman's strength and willpower. And each villain reflects a different aspect of Batman. That Nolan trilogy, they got to distance themselves away from that.
Oh no, I mean basically my thing is this is that for me, I feel that it definitely depends on the kind of Batman film that you want to try and make. Because for me, personally, and this is something a realization actually came from watching all of the films. I'm not actually a Batman fan. I am a fan of Tim Burton's interpretation of Batman. Because when I looked at, when I read some of the Batman comics, I mean, there is one amazing Batman comic that's amazing, but I'll probably do that on a separate video. When I look at the Batman comics, I look at even Nolan's Batman films, I look at the animated series, I look at all of the other stuff. I said to myself, you know what? I don't actually think I'm actually a Batman fan because it's like the only Batman I sort of kind of connect with is what Tim Burton did. Because for me, here it is. If you're trying to make Batman grounded in reality, it has to be a horror movie rated R. A Batman movie grounded in reality, I thought could work PG-13. But when I watched Nolan's films, I was like, no. If you want to ground it in reality, it's got to be a horror movie and about a psychopath. Pretty much. A guy who is mentally unstable.
They can only do that, HH. Like, the thing is, it's kind of hard with a AAA title like Batman, like where he's like, when you put a Batman movie out there, it's gonna succeed no matter what. It'll always make money because it's Batman. I don't think they'll really take the risk of making it. They'll risk that with Joker, with supervillains, with niche characters. But when it comes to like Superman, Batman, all these characters, I really don't think they'll do that. Like even Nolan, he tried to, but the studio wouldn't let him. They're like, PG, like you got to keep it so kids can come in.
But my thing, Bob already. See, my thing though is that I feel that if you want to make Batman, and I think it's sort of like, I mean, I can even see in Infinity Limited sort of saying it. There's like, if you're going to do it mainstream, i.e., the studio says, nah, it's mainstream. We're not going to put 100 mil up upon this. It has to be what Tim Burton did. It's got to be fantastical. You can't make
Tim Burton movies. Like I agree with you because like those movies were mature. Like when you can watch them as an adult and a kid, and you will find the same amount of enjoyability in them. Like the Nolan movies, like I'll be honest, after I watched The Joker, I went down a Batman rabbit hole. These past 2 weeks, I've been down a Batman rabbit hole. I rewatched the entire Nolan trilogy, and I'm not even kidding. It's like me and you have to discuss these movies at one point in time because they were amazing. Like I see somebody in the comments. He just said that he didn't like the third one. Highly recommend go back and watch it.
No, Red. I'm so ready. Maybe on a separate live, I am so ready to have a.
We could even do a live watch along.
Because trust me, I know those films like the back of my hand. Trust me, I mean, maybe not for now, but we are very careful to have a very detailed conversation as to why Batman Begins is easily, without a doubt, the best film out of those three. And Dark Knight, I have issues with. Rises is garbage. But
I like Rises to be. I think I'll be honest.
I think Banana. So
that's not go off topic. You're right. Like, let's continue.
So with regards to Matt Reeves, then, from what we now know, what kind of Batman film do you think this dude is actually going to make?
I'm looking at like the actor himself, like. Because when you're playing Batman, there's two characters you're playing. You're playing Bruce Wayne and you're playing Batman. Yeah. Right? Personally, my favorite Bruce Wayne out of everyone, Michael Keaton. Oh, because that guy, you could tell he's an eccentric billionaire and he's somebody that you would never expect to be Batman. You'd never expect Michael Keaton to be. When you look at that man, you're like, okay, that guy's a cultured, eccentric billionaire. He's kind of a weirdo, but nobody ever suspects that he's going to be the guy in a leather suit dressed up as a bat at night beating up criminals. My favorite Batman, though, like it has to be Christian Bale's Batman. I just felt like the way that, and the reason why he's my favorite Batman is like when you see the build up to him, how he trained, how he mentally became Batman.
But Red, even with the voice, you still take him as the best.
That's the only thing that I can't justify is the voice. I can't justify the voice, but to be honest with you, that's just a more testament to how good that movie is. Because even with the ridiculous voice, the character was still like the whole movie was still good. Because when I look at there's always going to be imperfections in every movie, but when you look at like the Nolan trilogy, not Batman, you really understand Batman as a character. Batman Begins is a character study similar to how the Joker was. They show you Batman from the beginning, from where he was, like when he was in that prison cell. They show you the flashbacks. You don't see Batman till an hour into it. And
But then,
another,
but see, Red, you're talking about Begins, which is bloody, which is a damn good film. There's all Batman Begins, which is a damn good film. But for me, my issue, Red, is that we, I don't think we actually got a proper sequel to Batman Begins, because you can say that okay, they did these films differently, but I think that what was done in Batman Begins, we didn't really see a build up of the kind of world and aesthetic that he built in Batman Begins. Dark Knight and Rise just went in a wholly completely different direction from that film, So because again, in Batman Begins, it was like, it was real, it was gritty. And then by the time you get into Dark Knight and Rises, it's like, the city just showed is ready for people ready to believe in good. It's like, I mean, bruh.
see, HH, I'll give you my response to that. Is that, like I said, like each movie tackled like you can't get a sequel to Batman Begins because Batman Begins discussed that, like the whole theme about it is fear. Batman's overcoming his fear. He's instilling his fear into the criminals that terrorize Gotham. In Batman: The Dark Knight, it's more about chaos. Now, the revolution has started, but it's now Batman has to question his morals. How far will they go? And they end up getting a solution where they have to lie to the people in order to put people behind bars and keep Harvey Dent as Gotham's White Knight.
I mean, but hold. I mean, again, like let's just sort of like focus on Matt Reeves because we're sort of like going to get down the whole Nolan rabbit hole. So I didn't really get again from you that. So what do you actually think Matt Reeves is actually going to do in this? I mean, do you have any idea what kind of Batman film he's going to make? Because for me, is he going to make
gothic,
a realistic Batman, a detective? Because let me be real with you, and I'll allow you have your thoughts about this. We are yet to see a truly, from beginning to end, detective Batman film where he's a detective for the entirety of the film. We've only seen it in little bits here and there, thrown in and here, but we've never seen it where this guy is truly a detective for the entirety of the film. So, do you think that we're gonna get that in this Matt Reeves thing?
See, that's what I'm hoping because, like, look, when I see Reeves, like, he doesn't strike me as the type of guy that can really be comedic. I think he's gonna be a more serious Batman. I think
if you look at those Apes films, they're pretty serious,
That exactly, like, or even if you look at like what he's the guy from Twilight. Am I not? Am I right?
Did you watch Cloverfield?
Field? No, I saw the Cloverfield Lane. That's the sequel, the one that's a horror movie.
Oh no, bro! You trust me. It's just that you need to watch it in the cinema because I think he did. That might have been his first or second film, bro. That film was insane in the cinema, absolutely insane.
Because I remember it was like revolutionary for its time, where it was like first person, you're sort of experiencing, you're revealing a little bit,
the whole thing very realistic. Yeah.
Hopefully, like if they can give us a new Batman, similar to how the Joker gave us a new Joker, a Joker that we haven't seen. We saw the gangster Joker with Nicholson. We saw the chaotic Joker, the wild scheming Joker with Heath Ledger, and then we saw the build up, the Joker as who he is as a person, that what made him with Walking Phoenix. Thank you. I want to see a new Batman. I saw the brutish Batman. I saw the animated Batman, like where it's Keaton's, like where it's more of a cartoon but brought to real life. I saw those. I want to see Detective Batman. I want to see the Batman that's a genius, the Batman that in any moment in time he's the smartest man in the room, because that's how Batman should be. Batman has never been the strongest. He's always been the smartest. He has a plan to defeat everybody in the Justice League. The way he defeats his villains is always by outsmarting them. That's the kind of Batman we need.
Bro, Red, let's be real. Let's keep it all the way thou. Batman has no business being in the Justice League. They are fighting aliens. He can be the smartest guy in the whole world. He has no business fighting flipping aliens. Let's just be real.
How about this, HH? Batman... there's a movie called Justice League Doom, animated movie. Highly recommend it, HH. In that movie, Batman takes down every member of the Justice League. Every single member. And it's all plausible. They show you exactly how he does it. Through trickery, through scheming, he takes every single member down. Okay. Not to mention that Darkseid, when Darkseid was about to defeat Superman and everything, it was Batman that rigged his planet to blow up if he doesn't do as Batman says. And he gets so...
Wait, so, Asha, let me just take up these few comments then, and also I want to then let me just read a few comments and I want to get your
Go
thoughts
ahead.
on Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. So,
Hmm.
um, boy, Infinity Limit says that this guys, did you see how Planets of the Apes looked? Yeah, it looks bloody amazing. And again, it says again the Arkham games use that as the template. Downey Jr. for Batman, hell no, sorry, Downey Jr. would be a horrible, horrible, horrendous
Yeah.
Batman. Um, so we say if you talk about Batman in football terms, he is Neymar and Superman is Messi. Batman is a side chick. I wouldn't go that far, man. So Red then, Zoe Kravitz. Have you seen any films of hers?
I haven't seen any films of her, but I checked her out, and she is Catwoman. Like personally, I'll tell you why. Because you remember, have you ever watched the Halle Berry Catwoman movie?
Oh, I tried. So basically, I watched the basketball scene and then I said, I think that's enough.
Yeah, it's a horrible movie.
Yeah,
But in all fairness to Halle Berry, she was good as Catwoman. The problem is the movie wasn't good
yeah.
for
The
her,
movie was garbage. Yeah, yeah.
and the director was awful because the thing is, I need to bring up the Nolan trilogy, but in the Nolan trilogy, Hathaway played Catwoman. Now, in the first scene where you see her and Bruce Wayne together in the same room, she's acting as a scared maid, and then as soon as he catches her, she immediately switches, does a 180, and shows you the real Catwoman. Zoe Kravitz, from what I've seen from her, I'm like, she could do that. She could be the girl next door to fake, to sort of like, like to play the victim around other people because she's a burglar. She doesn't. She
Mm.
has to be discreet. She has to be sly. And at the same time, she has that build, that body, where in a jumpsuit, she could be acrobatic. It can come off authentic from
No,
her.
no, but I also think also what is very key, also, which is what I sort of read, is that um they did like a chemistry reading with
Hmm.
all of the actresses. So there was different actresses. Anna de Armas, who's a trash actress. Some other actresses who I don't know, and then of course Zoe Kravitz. So Matt Reeves has obviously seen how with Robert Pattinson and say, okay, these guys have a key chemistry because the chemistry of the characters is key. Because I think in Batman Returns, I believe Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer were actually dating
Hmm.
during the filming of Batman Returns. So you can just feel the chemistry that they both had, which is vital for the whole Batman and Catwoman thing. So people who are like
Exactly.
Zoe Kravitz, if Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson just have that kind of magic together on screen, then that is actually going to be
Mm-hmm.
very key for making it work.
Like it's all about the chemistry because you always have to have with Batman and Catwoman is that they're always when they're on screen you feel like they're gonna kiss at any moment
Yeah.
enter between them. And she has to be also. I need to see from this Catwoman. I want her to backstab Batman. Like remember if you remember in the again Nolan trilogy, the third one, she sets him up to get beat up by Bane.
Mm-mm.
Like in which is an insane scene, but like when you see her, you're like she kind of feels that remorse that she did that to Batman, but at the same time, you're like that's Catwoman. She's just double crossing. She's just trying to. In the end, it's all for her. She's just doing everything for her own suit. So she would have been. I think she's gonna be a great Catwoman. I'm more sketched out on Patterson. Him he scares me as Batman.
No, 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 he doesn't. No, let me get to your Pattinson thing, but let me just say, I mean, are we both in an agreement that there is no way in hell that anybody can do a performance as good as Michelle Pfeiffer? That's like
Yeah, yeah. She was
that's
she's
like basically
Catwoman.
that can't be touched. What Michelle Pfeiffer did as Catwoman in Batman Returns cannot be touched at all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Red, have you seen Good Times by starring Robert Pattinson?
No, no, I haven't. I don't really like him to be honest with you.
Bro, see, that's what. See, what I say to people is that I get the hate, I get the
Mhm.
trepidation, I get it, but he was doing a job for Twilight. Everybody has to start somewhere. Christian Bale had to start somewhere. All these guys, DiCaprio also had to start somewhere with doing all this. So the DiCaprio was disgusting. DiCaprio was disgusting in Titanic. But look at
Mhm.
what he's now doing, stuff like Django Unchained and everything. You're gonna start somewhere. If you watch Good Time, and everybody's raving about his performance in this new film with Willem Dafoe called The Lighthouse, which is
Mhm.
directed by the person who did The Witch. This guy is a good actor. And I think in the right hands, Rise directs and everything. I think this guy can actually do something very interesting indeed. So I think he is worth giving a chance because
I hope he
don't
has the
judge him on
range.
Twilight.
He needs to have the range. Because look, I think that in the suit, he's a great Batman. I really do think so. But I remember what I said about Bruce Wayne. You have to play a good Bruce Wayne because even Christian Bale, regardless of people say, Christian Bale when he came out in the as a Playboy with his models and everything, you believe that you see like, okay, this is the type of guy that. Of course, you also like it's easy to guess that he's Batman, but at the same time, you're like, okay, this guy's a billionaire Playboy. With this guy, I don't see the Playboy aspect of him. I don't see the band the
No,
like.
no, no, but no, but then it's like, did we ever see the Playboy aspect from Michael Keaton? Maybe Matt Reeves is going to give us a totally different kind of take, which does really delve into the whole Playboy thing.
True.
Maybe this is going to be far more brooding, far more psychological. You never really know. And also, yeah, Footy Troll. I do remember that film, Empire of the Sun, with Christian Bale. Amazing, amazing film, directed by Steven Spielberg. It has also had Ben Stiller and John Malkovich in that film as well. Very good film. So let's move on from here right now before we get to obviously our main one, which is Joker. Matrix. Red, I don't know what the hell is happening with this film. Now, let's just give you some updates. So, Yahya Abdin
Abdul
Mateen the
Mateen,
second,
Yahya Abdul Mateen.
who acted as Matt. Basically, I haven't watched Aquaman, but I have watched the latest
He was
season
he was
of
great
Black
in
Mirror.
Aquaman. He was great in Aquaman.
No, but basically, have you seen the latest season of Black Mirror?
Yes. Which episode was he in?
The first episode with the either I think the first episode with Falcon from the Avengers films, where they played the kind of
Yes,
VR
yes,
video
yes,
game.
yes, yes, he was sleeping. Yeah, he was. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to.
But for me, when I saw, I was like, no, this guy's pretty good. Like because I thought he gave the strongest performance in that episode. So he's been cast, and oh gosh, what's his name again? Okay, let me try and get basically How I Met Your Mother. The dude from How I Met Your Mother. What's his name? White blonde dude.
Oh yeah, Neil Patrick Harris.
Thank you, Neil Patrick Harris. So he's been cast as well in this Matrix series. So here's my thing. I'm confused. So Keanu Reeves is in the film. Carrie-Anne Moss is in the film. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! They both died at the end of Revolutions. So I've just been thinking that what could this plot be? What could this plot be? And here's my theory, and tell me if I'm crazy about this theory.
Go ahead.
Maybe there's a ship, and what we're slowly seeing is the crew of this ship is being built. So Yahya Abdin is the captain of the ship, and Neil Patrick Harris is another member of the ship, and we're slowly going to be seeing different members of this ship. And for some reason, they are trying to find perhaps a copy, or trying to copy somehow a replicant or something of Neo and Trinity. So I think there's going to be a thing of they are trying to search for Neo. And that is what they're trying to do. Because from what Keanu Reeves said, he said that he's read the script. And look, this is Keanu Reeves, who is just his Keanu Reeves. He says everything is amazing. But what Keanu Reeves says is that this is very ambitious. This is really ambitious. So, bro, Byron, don't say that crap. Matrix is a masterpiece. It was Matrix really that good? Yes, it was. It was a bloody masterpiece. Are you sick in the head? So that's what
If I could touch on it, because I have my own theory about it. To be honest with you,
So what's your theory? Because I have no idea what the hell this story could be. So I mean, what's your theory?
I remember what the architect said about the Matrix in Reloaded. He says that this is another version of the Matrix. The Matrix has existed before in Neo, versions of Neo before. I really do think that they might just go out all ballsy and say that the previous Matrix failed, and this is just another reboot. This might just be like
but remember, at the end of Revolutions, he's flipped that because basically the Matrix only gets reloaded. Trust me, bro, I've seen this film about 1 billion times, so like I've studied everything. So basically, the Matrix only gets reloaded if he goes to the door in the right. But once every one before Neo always went to the door to the right and reloaded the whole Matrix and everything. But he was the first one that chose the door to the left, which screwed up the whole systematic thing of reloading this thing, the whole point. And I think that the whole point of revolutions, unless they want to write revolutions off, but if they're going based on what we saw from revolutions, the Matrix has just now gone into a whole new era and can't be reloaded anymore. So I don't. So, but you still feel there's going to be a thing of where they reboot it
Because the
with, I
thing
mean,
is,
with
what I'm
a new one, or
thinking, like, it might be like they're gonna find some kind of, like, the writer's gonna find some kind of way where it turns out that they didn't do it 100% right, and it's sort of like it's gonna serve as a soft reboot for the franchise. Pretty much the same thing with Yahya Abdul Mateen. But at the same time, they could be, another thing is, could be like, right, like, forget the Matrix, and they're excavating for something. They're trying to find something for Zion, but I don't see that happen because they wouldn't call it the Matrix. That's why I think it might be there has to be something with the Matrix. They have to be rebooting it or something, because the war at the end, like, if you remember in Revolution, I don't want to say it's anticlimactic, but they sort of, like, it was a dead, like, nobody won.
yeah. We're just sort of like a peace thing or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think with this one, they might want to just be a little bit, like, more risky, and maybe, like, they're gonna, again, like, oh, it turns out when Neo did that, there was something that didn't happen. When he took that door, and, you guys have to do it all over again. Now you're the new one, and you have to take his place, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, where they do something like that, because in that last one, you see, doesn't Neo essentially, if I remember correctly, because I haven't watched this movie in ages, but he fuses in the end
Yeah.
with,
He fuses himself with like the machines, and then that causes like a kind of malfunction or something.
yep. So
And
there you go, HH. That fusion, like I said, where it could be like, oh, Neo's quote unquote dead, but he's not really dead. He's in the Matrix now. He is the Matrix, and Neo has become sort of like corrupted, or some way, in some way.
so you're saying that maybe Neo is the villain?
It could be they could really do that full twist, because, again, like, where could you go? Because Revolution tied everything up. There's nowhere to go from there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Reloaded explained the whole lore. In Revolution, they tied up all those knots that they explored. Neo, like you said, Neo took the left door. He ended up going. He goes to the machine. He finished. Everything is done. But what I think there is that because the writers, to be able to continue the franchise, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to find a way of, you did this, it didn't fix everything. We have now a whole new problem going on. And this crew, like you said, the crew that they're setting up, Neil Patrick Harris, because these are some great names. Like, to be honest with you, I think Neil Patrick Harris is great for any
Oh
crew.
no, very good actor. I mean, like, don't judge him on his comedy. The guy is a very good actor. Don't judge him on
But
his comedy. The guy's a very good actor, man.
with that comedy, that could be used in the movie to really have that sort of,
I
not
mean,
comic
because
relief.
like Cypher was sort of brought a dark humor to the whole thing. Cypher in the first Matrix film, so
But like I said, like, I think I'm excited to see the Matrix come back. To be honest with you, like, this is one of the few franchises that I actually want to see more of. Like,
no. But see, look, my thing is, like, again, this is a topic for a whole other live thing, because again, like, I can speak for hours upon hours about my issues with Revolutions and how Reloaded pretty much changed my life. Like, Reloaded pretty much changed my entire life. But my thing about this is that even if I had issues with Revolutions, the world is so rich. Like, for me, I've always put Matrix ahead of Star Wars, because I just think that Matrix is so much deeper. There is so much more to talk about, and it's so much more relatable to so many people, that I think
first
Matrix
Matrix.
is just it has much richer content than a Star Wars does. So it's about how do you because for me, see, my theory was always this. My theory was Matrix within a Matrix. The real world of Zion was another level
Matrix.
of the Matrix, which
Oh
was
shit!
which,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is the ultimate flipping mind f, the ultimate control that the machines had, the ultimate control that. So basically, they built this scenario of human beings having hope and creating a virtual world that acted as their release and as their escape and as their quote unquote reality. That's why, and I think that is. See, if they had gone that way full in Revolutions, that would have been the most crazy twist of all time. It'd been the most crazy twist of all time.
That's the only thing with that is I
Bro,
see somebody in the
Matrix is
comments.
better than Inception, bro. I'm sorry, I'm just reporting to this guy
But
in the live chat.
no, but
Matrix
but
is better than
to his
Inception.
comment,
Don't do that
to
Inception crap, man. Sorry, I read. Go.
his credit, like, but what basically what you're saying, a matrix inside of it, it's essentially what Inception was, like a dream within a dream. So I don't think they'd go. They could go. The thing is, it's interesting because you could do anything with this Matrix world. You could, like, with the world that they've established, grid already set up. They could do the fake out, the double fake out, where you know what, but I don't think that you can't start a movie like that because
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I mean, basically,
the
look,
key thing I
if no, no,
want
no,
them
no.
to do.
See, like, say that theory, you had to make it happen at the end of Revolution. The fact that they didn't do it, you can't pretty much go through with it anymore. You now have to sort of just like um start afresh, new. We're in the Matrix where we're trying to break it and everything. But look, let's just sort of like move on and just get out to our main thing right now, which of course
Sounds
is
good.
Joker. So again, guys,
Yes,
remember, if you haven't seen Joker, I'm sorry. Try and get yourselves out of this live chat because we're going to be talking Joker and we're going to be talking spoilers about
and
Joker,
like the
man.
vid, guys, like the vid.
Yeah, remember, yeah, like the vid, like the vid, like the vid. Remember, guys, to sub to the channel, subscribe, like the vid, share the vid, and so forth, man. This is the movie hop, man. So you've seen this twice now.
Three times. I went with my
Ooh,
friend. Yes, 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 yes.
bro.
I have dissected this movie.
No, bro.
There's
I am basically. I'm having my third viewing. This basically, I mean, because basically there is this art house cinema that's sort of near where I live. That I'm so because it's amazing cinema. I didn't know they were going to show it. I found out that they're showing it, so I'm gonna probably watch it either tomorrow or Thursday at this art house cinema, and that's going to be my third watch. That's going to be my third watch. So I'm rolling it with my third watch. So my thing is that look, man. I mean, because I did a live chat with
link. I
Lenka.
saw that. I saw that this morning.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a
yeah.
good look. I have some problems though, HH, with a couple of things.
Mm,
People looking so deep into this movie, but here's my thing.
mm,
If we're talking about philosophies, I kid you not, war. Thanos had a much more dangerous philosophy, and I don't mean a philosophy in like, oh, I know it's fake. Nobody has the Mind Stone or any kind of the Infinity Stones. But here's the thing: his whole thing was overpopulation. That you have to snap to kill half the world to be able to make sure the Earth prolongs it. Some of my friends, they were like, Thanos was right. Overpopulation is a problem. We have to. I'm like, that's dangerous thinking.
mm.
The fact that you're doing that. So like that kind of that could be bad for society because then people dehumanize people or give less value to human life. It's just a character study. It's just one person. You see this person in the domino effect that it is his life and how everything leads to another and how eventually he gets to this point where he snapped. It doesn't mean he's right or wrong. At no moment in the movie do they give you some triumphant music like what he did was good. At no moment in the movie does every time he does anything disturbing, when you're watching it, you know it's disturbing.
No, but see, that's why I found it so interesting when I had the discussion with Lenka, because I was like, because from her point of view, she thought that they were sort of like glorifying the Joker and the character in the film, and I was like, they are like there was no scene filmmaking wise where they were glorifying what he was doing. But what is so fascinating is that there are many, and she's not the only one. There are many reviewers who have seen this film and have said that, nah, man, this is glorifying this is dangerous. This is trying to sort of justify his killings. But I'm like, I'm sure I watched the same film that you did, and there is far more glorification for what Ledger's Joker did or what Jack Nicholson's Joker did than what Arthur Fleck did, because I think the film keeps on making the point that, bro, this guy's just killing these dudes. And even basically the scene that crystallizes the whole thing is that end scene when he's talking to the talk show host, where like everybody is pretty much repulsed and revolted by him saying that he finds it funny that he killed those people, and he thinks that those people deserve to die and everything, and everyone's like, no, this is messed up. So it's like, but my thing is that I'm just interested as to why would people view his killings as glorification? I don't get that.
And you know what's funny? In that final scene, like literally, director Todd Phillips came out and spelled out exactly what he's trying to say in the movie, and he used the actual audience and the interviewer Murray as us, like us and the viewer, like their disgust is our disgust. It's like what you did is wrong. You know what I mean? Like he the movie at no moment in time, like I said, has ever glorified it or showing you that he's psychotic. They're showing you that he's psychotic, but they're also showing you that he is a product of society, which is true. If you see the whole movie from the beginning, let's look. I'm going to go into spoiler territory, everybody. So,
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Hit it.
Let's hit the notes that transform the Joker all together. If we throughout this video, so let's start off with the first scene. He's talking to his counselor. He's dressed up as a clown. He gets beat up. That doesn't really that leads to him getting the gun from his coworker after he finds out that he got beat up, he got robbed, and then his boss also takes from his paycheck, punishing him for something that he had nothing to do with it. And even in the scene after, when he's writing in his book, what does he write? He was like, "Everybody expects you to behave like you don't already." You know what I mean? He writes that. He's like, everybody expects you to behave like you don't already, because he's doing everything right, and people are still punishing him. He's still getting punished. You move forward. He finds out an affair with Thomas Wayne. He could be Thomas Wayne's son. He gets beat up on the subway. In self-defense, he shoots two of those guys. But after he shoots them, he gets his satisfaction. This is where Todd Phillips told us that, look, this guy isn't a guy to be feared, because he chases the third guy and he murders him in cold blood. Because at that point, it's not self-defense.
Wait. Actually, quick response to that. An argument can be said that you've already killed those two. This dude has seen you. Bruh, you might as well kill him. Because if you let him go, he's seen your face, he has seen you. If he survives to go to the hospital, he can then ID you.
Those are the actions of a villain, though, HH. By him killing that third guy, that's what a mobster does. That's what a gangster does. That's what a villain does. He no longer... Because when he shot them while they were beating him up, but he let that third guy run away. Todd Phillips let that third guy run away because he wants to show you that this guy now, he likes it. He got a thrill from it, and he shot that third guy. So you already know that this is not somebody you should cheer for. This is not somebody you could feel bad for him. When I was watching the movie, I was more rooting for him to succeed, to not turn into the Joker. I want him to have a good life, but it never happens. And then on top of all that, so one last thing I want to mention. At the moment when we believe that Thomas Wayne is his father, like after he finds out, before he meets Thomas Wayne, right? He kills those three guys that were abusing him. And then he sees his father on TV in an interview were abusing him and calling him, his son, in his mind, a clown. He calls him a clown and a nobody and a loser. His dad say that to him live. And you know he's only in that circumstance because his dad never took care of him. Because people never caught this. But a lot of people didn't catch it. I don't want to say nobody did, but a lot of people didn't catch this. After he kills his mother, when he's putting on the makeup, before he kills his friend, picture, he takes it out, and on the back of it, he was like, "Look, you're looking as stunning as ever. T.W. Thomas Wayne."
Wait. Rewind again. So he picked up. So because that's a bit that I sort of missed. So who was on that picture?
It was a picture of her, I believe. I forgot what the picture was. But I remember
his mom. His fake mom.
Yeah. It's actually his mom, because if you remember his mom in the beginning, that's the thing. Todd Phillips left it open ended, so we don't know who's lying, the mom or Thomas Wayne, because both could be right. Because his mom said that Thomas Wayne made her sign a ton of paperwork, so she could have actually gotten pregnant, and Thomas Wayne, being the rich billionaire that he is, he could have used his influence to be like, "No, she's crazy," and forged some adopting papers. We with Thomas Wayne, when you see that, because supposedly after you see the Arkham thing, he finds out he is adopted. He finds out that he was abused. His mom allowed him to be abused, which that was his only connection to humanity. In the beginning of the movie, when he imagines himself talking to Murray, remember in that scene?
Yeah.
And then Murray asks him, "What do you do?" And then he told him, like, "I'm a clown and I do this to support my mom." And that shows you inside his psyche that the thing that he's most proud of is helping out his mom and taking care of her.
No, but no. See, my thing though is that I think that again, look, I think that's the beauty of the film is like what's real, what's not real, who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth. But I feel again from watching it twice. Again, I watched the third time again, but from watching it twice now, I still firmly believe that his mom is crazy, complete
Mm-hmm.
psycho. She did adopt him. Um, she's mentally unstable, and Thomas Wayne was telling the truth upon there. So, which is why when he then kills her, it's a case of, bro. I mean, I was like, okay, maybe you went a bit extreme killing her, but you can understand his anger
Yep.
of killing her. But my key thing is, and this is the real thing that I'm wrestling with, is the laugh. It's not a condition, is it?
His
Because he
laugh.
says that it's how it's no, it's what he really is. So are we dealing with a guy who is mentally ill or a guy who is just who from birth was always a psychopath, which is why he was even abandoned in the first place? That this guy was always a bit strange and odd from birth.
See, but that the laugh is, in my opinion, like I think that's more credit to another credit for Todd Phillips and his directing, because I think he used that sort of as a symbol, right? At first, it was Joker's weakness in the beginning of the movie. He's laughing uncontrollably. People keep on thinking he's awkward, he's weird, he's embarrassed by it. But then, after he embraces the Joker, his other half, his what he is, his reality, becomes him. He sort of he embraces it. It's no longer a sickness. It's his power. It becomes the Joker.
Yeah, it becomes because it's like if you even imagine this guy now evolving into the Joker now, because the laugh is so disconnected from what he's doing. If he now becomes fully this full Joker, that laugh now becomes pretty much part and parcel with what he's, and because the laugh is so emotionally independent of his emotions, it probably makes much more sense if it now if it's now coincides with the psychopath that is the Joker, you know,
Yep.
because once it now comes to it, it's like yeah, it's now works because see, Arthur Fleck is a guy who is troubled, but he's trying to be normal. He's trying to have a girlfriend. He's trying to help his mom. He's trying to be a stand-up comedian. He's trying to still do normal things. But this laugh is completely is fighting with a guy who is just trying to get along socially. But if you now go from the dude we now saw in our talk show thing, that guy just off the flipping rails now. That guy is pretty much dancing randomly on steps. That guy is just mad.
Position.
So
See, and there's one thing. My only critique of the movie is when did he decide to not kill himself and kill Murray? Read his HH in your third view, and I want you to pay attention more to the writing and the detail. Because what is one of his jokes, which I thought this was really good writing. He was like, "I hope my death makes more sense than my living." Now he writes sense, CENTS, sense as in cents in dollars, and the reason for that is he's going on Murray's show, and Murray is profiting off of this guy's illness. That's the
I
whole
mean, I
joke.
thought maybe basically I thought because he can't spell. That was my view
No,
in
no,
that
no,
time
no, no,
because he's a
no.
bad
It was
speller.
a double entendre. It was a double entendre. It was supposed to be double meaning. I hope my death makes more sense than my death, because like the reason why Murray is bringing him on his show is to take advantage of a
Yeah,
mentally ill man.
is to mock him.
Exactly, and to make why does he want to mock him? Because he wants more ratings, more viewings. So, and what happens when you get more views? You get more money.
Yeah, yeah.
My death makes more sense than my living.
Ah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah.
so my only criticism is like when he kills Murray, because I expected that he's just gonna blow his mind. Like this is a one-off story. Like the Joker converts, he starts his revolution, and this is how the legend of the Joker starts. You know what I mean? But they went a step deeper and kept him alive for some reason. But that's probably my only criticism of the movie is why like that I didn't get to explain that. Maybe for me personally, I think maybe when he saw that TW, he was he when he saw that, that's when he realized that he kind of killed his mom. And his mom could have been telling the truth, and that he snaps right there.
Oh no, no, no.
It-
I think for me, I think it's one of those things of where like because again with many people, even I was even talking to Dan and Tillich about it again. He even has different theories as to what you believe, what you don't believe, and everything. But I just think that I just view it pretty much as a whole because I think it's a cautionary tale.
Hmm.
It's a cautionary tale. It's about really be wary about the kind of people that you bully and the kind of people that you mock. So I think rather than because I think for me it's like people can go deep into this works, this doesn't work, what does this mean, what does this mean, which can be cool and everything. But for me, I like to just take a step back and say, okay, what is the general story that these guys are taking? What is the general arc? Let me just look at the blueprints and the entirety of what these guys are saying. And I think what is being told here is we're not spoon feeding you the meaning of this film. We're not telling you categorically what this film is about. There are no characters that are giving you a soliloquy or a monologue that is clearly enunciating how you're supposed to feel about this film, because just as you see, like the way, like how someone can view that and say they are glorifying this dude. I'm looking in at this as because again, when I watched it twice, I had two viewings from Arthur. When I watched it the first time, I was like, this guy is a messed up. I have zero empathy for this guy. I don't feel sorry for this guy at all. This guy is just an evil dude. But then when I then watched it again, I was like, Hugh killing these guys is a pretty final thing to do, and you can't defend that. But there is a reason that he did that. And if you're dealing with a guy who is a bit odd and a bit strange and is literally because again, like just that because I remember because if you remember that scene when his boss is like reprimanding him and stuff in the office, and then you could just see like the camera slowly zooms into Arthur's face, and you could just see like his eyes are just sort of like because he's almost like simmering, like because it's like there's only so much he can take. So it's almost like if it's just like a ticking bomb that's just ticking, and he's doing his best just to keep himself together, because you know that once I go, I'm gonna just go. You know,
He fantasizes about killing his boss right after that. Remember that scene when he's kicking in the alley?
yeah.
Isn't that his boss's? He fantasizes about killing him.
I mean, I thought that was just more rage because remember he does that after he is sacked and fired. So I thought actually no. So okay, no, that's actually how he has the. I mean, no, for me, I think that's just rage. I don't think that is him fantasizing about killing the dude. I think that's just rage because for me, I feel that once I don't think he really has any fancies of killing anyone.
You're right. Yeah, he was just kicking. They never show us a body. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
his
No,
anger.
he was basically he was just kicking
Hey,
because I think.
on a side note, there's a Chris Rock joke where he talks about O.J. Simpson's murder.
Yeah,
He goes like, "Look, this woman kicked you out of the house, got another man, and is living in your house with you paying the bills for her and her other man. I'm not saying he's right in killing her. Like, I'm not saying what the Joker's doing is right, but you understand it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You can when he's doing the actions he's doing because look, nothing the Joker did was on him. Right? He was working. He loved his job because, in a sense, when you find out about his history, he was robbed of his innocence. Hence, why he wanted to be a clown and make people laugh.
yeah.
So he loved being a clown. They took that away from him. Why? Because one of his coworkers and told him like, "You need this for protection." I was like, he messed up. No, it was a hilarious scene by the way when he dropped the gun in the
Oh
hospital.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Hilarious.
yeah.
And when you look at, for example, his mom being sickly and trying to get this help from Thomas Wayne, he's just supporting her constantly, always believing her. He didn't choose to for any of that stuff to happen. And then finally, when the government cuts off his medication, that's literally the movie telling us that you're telling Arthur, sorry, that you get no help from us. You're done. You're cutting you off. You're on your own.
Because basically they're just very key plot points where it's like they're just all adding up. Like once his medication was cut off, once once he realized that Thomas Wayne wasn't really his dad, once he then realized that his mother had lied to him, these are all things that just pretty much add up. That when it's like, you know what? Because really, the only thing he was holding on to was, okay, look, it's my mother. I'm holding my mother, my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom. And even if he knew that Thomas Wayne wasn't his dad, he still had his mom to go out. But I think because in life, or when you look at people going crazy, it's a series of things. But there's one thing. There's just that one cat. That's one powder keg thing that just unloads and then just causes this knock-on effect. And that catalyst was the thing with his mother. Because once that went, you're like, oh my God. And that is why when he's in the hospital and he says to her that my laughter, it isn't a condition, it's just who I am.
That's it. That's the transformation because like he's using his weakness and turning it into his strength. That's why like a lot of things in the movie, like when you rewatch it over and over, there's a lot of payoff. He doesn't. It's not just simply, oh, this guy got beat up and shot people and he became the Joker because
No.
life was mean to him. No. There is a ton of build up for this character in his actions.
Because right, see, the thing is that I didn't want to watch a 2-hour Joker movie. I didn't. That would have been boring, stupid, and also pointless as well. I didn't want to watch a 2-hour Joker movie. What we needed was Arthur Fleck. This was about Arthur. This was about a human being because we needed that to build up. Also, sorry, before, let me just read this. I almost forgot. Like Footy Troll says, not only his mother, Maury's image as the ideal father was destroyed.
Yes.
That was.
I was gonna read that out. I was gonna actually tell you about that because I just read that and I remember that. It's not just his father, by the way. Every father figure he had in the movie betrayed him. Look at Randall. Gives him his gun. What does he tell Arthur? You're my boy, Arthur. I have to look out for you. What happens? He betrays him. He rats him out as soon as Arthur gets in trouble. Then
Wait. Real quick. Do you know when Randall said that?
In the beginning.
Yeah. No, when he said,
go ahead.
You're my boy. I'll look at Faye. I don't know. Just the way he said it, I thought, is there some kind of abuse happening?
That's what I'm thinking because they zoom into Arthur. At first it was a fake scene. It was him fantasizing about. He probably did buy the gun off Randall, and he fantasized about Randall just giving it to him and telling him, "Oh, we don't worry about it," because Arthur just wants. Every time people are nice to him, I always felt like there's something up, like it's fake. Like because after I saw that's on my second viewing, but no, in the third viewing, it made more sense because looking at the themes of this movie. The 4 people that we know that were sort of similar to his father figure all betrayed him and laughed at him. You look at his mom's ex-boyfriend who abused him as a child, tying him to a radiator, beating him. You had Randall who ratted him out after telling him, "Oh, you're my boy here. I need you to take care of yourself." And then he rats him out to the officers immediately. And then you had Thomas Wayne who called him a clown, a loser, punched him, told him never to touch his son again. And then you had Murray, a person who he idolized. Like I said in the beginning of the movie, he said, if I ever had a son, I'd want it to be just like you. What he finds him making fun of him. Everybody that he felt attachment to, every father figure that he felt attachment to, all hurt him. Every single one of them.
Like there's only so much defeat you can take.
Exactly.
There's only so much defeats that you can take.
One amazing line. I didn't catch this till again the second viewing, and I think there's the best Joker story, and it's known as a definitive origin story for the Joker. It's called The Killing Joke. It's a one-off story.
I've read it. Brian Boland and Alan Moore and Brian Boland.
Yep. So with The Killing Joke, he says in it, "I've had a bad day." That is the term because he says all you need is one bad day to become the Joker. That's what he says to Batman. That's what he says to Commissioner Gordon. He's like, the only thing that separates you from me is that one bad day. And then in that scene where you find out that his girlfriend is fake, ouch, and he's just quiet. And after all this shit has happened to him, she comes in. She was like, "Arthur, like you're the guy that lives down the hall." He was like,
"Bro, that's scene." I didn't see that coming because for me, I'm very gullible. I did not see that coming from a flipping mile off. When that happened, when his girlfriend was all a mirage, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Actually, I'll tell you. I'll get back to that, but I'm just gonna finish this point. But what Arthur says, he goes like, "I've had a bad day," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" Because I once I saw that clicked with me, I'm like, "He's gonna become the goat. This is it. This is the final act. We're going into the final third of the movie. He's gonna become the Joker right now." But for that hallucination part, like when I first saw it at the end, I'm like, I was sitting with my girlfriend. I look at my girlfriend, I'm like, where's her daughter? Like this doesn't she like because like she's going out with Arthur at the hospital. She's at the comedy show. I'm like, where's her? Because she had a daughter. They show you
Yeah.
her daughter, but you never see her daughter. I'm like, and she's so ideal because if you notice in every movie where there's a twist, the ideal character or the under the radar character, he's always a twist. Like Suspect, I watched halfway through the movie, I knew it was him. I'm not. I was like, this guy. He's the one that betrayed everybody. Incredible movie, by the way, HH. Incredible movie. Thank you so much for recommending that. One of my favorites now. Um, but yeah, no, with that, with her, what's her name? Zazie Beetz, I think that's her name. She was like that scene. If you notice, like when she's with him, she's always just doing exactly what Arthur wants. Single time she's there, and in every scene where Arthur has to interact with another character or is interacting with something, she disappears. Let's say, for example, in the hospital when they're watching the mock video of him, right? She's like, oh, I'm gonna go get tea, and she leaves. It's just him by himself. They never talk about it with each other. Nothing. I'm like, okay, I think it's all in his head because I didn't get it. I was like, this is a horrible. I was like, why would she be with? Because she's an attractive young woman.
Because I think that's why. Because watching it the first time, you're just sort of just taking everything, and even when like she sort of goes with him, because for me, cause that's what somebody's this doesn't connect because the way she reacted to him when he does that whole gun to his head thing, she was like, okay, this dude is a bit creepy and a bit weird. So that how do you now go from there to now, this guy has been following you and you're now attracted by it? I was like, okay, but let me just play along and so forth, because the funny thing is, when she came into the apartment and like she was shocked, I thought that she was shocked because remember she saw the back of him, so she thought that was a stranger. Then when she now knew it was Arthur, I was like, oh, okay, now knows Arthur. But then she was like, oh, do you do it from that in the corridor? I was like, okay, but I was like, wait a minute, why is she so cold and off-putting towards him? Is it because he came in unannounced and everything? But then when they now replayed that, all that was just in his head, I was like, oh Jesus,
Yep, they got like because it was very well because like it's also they want to show you in that is that Arthur is an unreliable narrator. Like that's another reason why you shouldn't sympathize or empathize with him because you don't know real and what isn't. Like Randall, for all we know, Randall's right. Maybe Arthur did come up to him and tell him, "I want a gun." Isn't Thomas Wayne's son, and he really is just harassing a rich billionaire. Maybe those
because see, that's the key. Again, this is why I need to watch it the third time because I think that the key thing here is. The first two times I've watched it, I'm like, this guy is mentally ill. You go against this mentally ill guy, and then this is not how that guy reacts. But maybe the trick is that this guy was always a psychopath. There are people who are just born evil, who are just born mad. And maybe we are just truly looking at a psychopath, but we're looking at a psychopath in a very different lens. We're not looking at a psychopath in the way that Hannibal Lecter was presented to us, or the guy that's. We're looking at a psychopath in a very weird, creepy way that's trying to make us sympathize with him. But no, maybe this guy innately at the very core is just a very evil person.
No, and the thing is, I don't believe. I believe personally that everybody's born equal, but it's sort of your circumstances in life is what develop the person who you are. Unless, of course, there's a birth defect, but. The key thing that they teach when he was a kid, when he was a child, he was abused, he was beaten, and you only learn your emotions from the people around you. Like if you steal and your dad catches you stealing, he beats you and tells you don't steal again. As a kid, over time that will go and you won't steal because it's going to be instilled from you when you were a child. Love, compassion, that stuff as a child that grows with you. That could be part of what's wrong with him because. Remember one scene where I thought was sort of like just to show you that this guy's even more crazy than what we think he is. When he's at the comedy club and he's laughing at the comedian, he's laughing off beat.
Yeah. Oh no. For me, like two of my favorite scenes. Some of my favorite scenes. The first is when he basically laughs and does a little dance in the train station when he sees the detectives being beaten up. And my second favorite scene is what you just said when he's at the comedy club and he's not even laughing at the jokes that are actually being said. He's laughing when the joke isn't even hitting. So
Yep.
he's completely disconnected as to what the hell is even happening. So you're like, my God, what is this creature that we're looking at?
Exactly. It's in the way that, and it doesn't feel unnatural. That's the thing. Is like when you're watching this, if you were to like somebody showed you this clip of somebody doing something along that lines, you'll be like, what is this? This is weird. Like it's not when you're watching it after all the video, you feel like this is unnatural. Like what is he doing? Why is he like this? Because they the way they build up to that moment, the way they show you the inside of that character, you understand him. You get that this person is just he's just not there. He's clearly psychotic. And not to say that all mentally ill people are like this, because there's different kinds of mental illnesses,
Mm.
it's a whole spectrum. The thing is with the Joker is that you have to look at the context. He's mentally ill and look at the circumstances that he's put in. Look at what he has to go through. This is why this character is like this. This isn't right. This isn't wrong. This is just what is. You know what I mean? Like, this is how this whole builds up. This guy is like this because everybody in his life has abandoned him. He's had shown no love, no remorse. Nobody has
There's a
ever
reason.
shown
There's a reason.
sympathy.
There's a build up to it. Okay, so sort of just to round off so that we can sort of just set this off. So seeing it three times, overall thoughts after seeing it three times now.
And I don't think I'm going to be seeing it again. I think this is it. I've seen it enough. I personally love this movie. I would definitely recommend it for anybody that likes these kind of dark movies or these slow burn movies. I think it's a great character study. I think it's going to be for the Batman lore and going forward for the Batman franchise. It's going to be a staple because that Bruce Wayne Joker brothers complex, that is some quality stuff. Because especially from the aspect they teach is that what if you take two from the same father, you put them in two different life circumstances? How would they grow up? They're from the same DNA, same city, same everything, but one person is with privilege, one without, and how they grow up and contrast each other.
Isn't that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong or I've got my bubble thinking. Isn't that the Cain and Abel story? I think that might be similar to the
No,
Cain
no,
and Abel
isn't it
story.
Cain? Isn't it Cain Abel that was the first murder ever? Where I forgot which one murders the other, but it was over a woman.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I don't know,
Right?
because I know that I'm pretty sure there's a story where like two brothers, same parents, but they grew up in completely different circumstances and everything. One is good, one is evil, all that kind of crazy stuff. But you know, no, but for me, look,
But yeah, they could do that.
yeah, no, I mean, basically, no, I need to watch it the third time. But I think for me, like the key thing about the film is again, it's not perfect. Hardly any few films are perfect, but
Of course not.
I keep thinking about it. And the key thing about this film is that this film brings up so much discussion and you can have so much of a debate about it. And even people who've seen it and haven't even liked and don't even necessarily like the film or love the film say that they keep thinking about the film. So even people who hate the film and dislike the film have a lot to say about the film. And I think that just shows basically that is when you've done your job as a filmmaker where like I can make a film that even if you don't like my film or you hate my film, it affects you. It's causing an emotional reaction with you, and it stays with you, and you think about it. The worst thing is you forget a film. This is a film that love or hate it, it stays with you. So look, man, I've got to round it off. So yes, look, man. Hopefully we'll try and do this again
Sounds
sometime.
good.
And yes, you know what? I wanted to. You know what? Let's talk about. I want to have a discussion about this Batman films, the trilogy. Let's talk about that damn trilogy. So let's.
Oh, I'm telling you, like we should definitely organize where we watch the movie right before we go on here. Like
Oh,
we have to like we want to jog our memory, or even better, like I said, if you're up for like a 3 hour one, is where we watch me and you live stream the movies, and then on a live call, and as we watch the movie, we can just check it out and see it because the movie itself, like I personally just rewatched all three of these in the past 2 days. And I love them. Like I was like, these hold up so well, and they're so good because like I forget. I'm like, oh shit, like I never knew that they were talking about this. Maybe as a kid when I was watching it, I was more into just the action. But watching Rises is now my favorite of the three. Like the Rises, Bane is in like.
Oh no,
Shoot,
no,
I
no,
forgot
no,
his
no,
name.
no, no! For me, like Tom Hardy's performance as Bane is bloody amazing, but it's just the film and the writing around him. Talia Al Ghul, Batman fighting in
Well,
daylight
HH.
edition, or all those things. But no, but look, Red. Let's save it. Let's save it to the other live thing. But we'll do that. So okay, look,
Yeah,
man,
fine.
guys. Let's head out. Remember to like the vid, share the vid, and all that kind of stuff. And we are out, guys. All right, guys. Adios. Thank
Peace,
you for
peace.